Betty Hutton, we are here at the rehearsal studios, and pretty soon you got to go back to rehearsal. We want to know how this all happened. How did you get this part? Because it came, you know, I got a phone call that Betty was going to be in Annie.
Well, it's all your fault. You know, when you came out to interview me with my children and my grandchildren, Marty Charnon, who directed this play and wrote the lyrics, so fabulous, he saw your show. And that he had thought of me, I think, before, but he really thought of me then. And they reached out to get me. And as a matter of fact, when they called, I was giving my granddaughters their breakfast. It was 7:30 in the morning. And I was racing to Mass, as you know, by 8 o'clock. And the call came in from an agent. He said, would you like to do Annie? I said, what do you mean Annie? I've already done Annie. Don't put too much strawberries on the eggs. What do you mean Annie? And this is what's going on, back and forth.
Because you thought he meant Annie Get Your Gun.
Right. It didn't dawn on me with it. When it dawned on me what he was talking, what he was talking about, I said, oh, well, I didn't know the show. I had not seen it. All I knew was the cartoon when I was a kid growing up with this, you know. But my daughter heard me, you know, talking back and forth, and she came tearing in. She said, Mom, it's great. I saw it. It's fabulous. You'll be wonderful in that part. And I'm talking to them. I said, wait a minute. And they said they had to know in a half an hour. So I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I got to go to Mass at 8 o'clock. I'll talk to the boss. I'll call Father McGuire, and I'll talk with my children. And if they all okay it, I'll let you know. So I went to Mass, and it really felt kind of exciting, you know. And my daughter, oh, golly, she said, oh, Mother, that part is fabulous for you. And I said, well, okay, I'll call him back. And I did. And a week later, I was in New York auditioning for Marty Charnon. I tell you, that man, I wish I were younger. He is super. Wow.
Isn't he wonderful?
Yeah, he's really
nobody better. Were you nervous? Are you nervous now?
Yes, I am. Yes, I said I wasn't going to be. But last night, I worked with Marty Charnon last night in the theater, and I hadn't been in the theater yet to rehearse, and I went home last night, and I was so scared suddenly that I won't please him, you know, because he's so great, they're so great, all the cast, I have to follow two great performers in those parts, you know, and I'm scared to death. I just want to please them, because I only got 3 weeks to worry about, as you know, and I just want them to be happy with what I'm doing. And I get in bed and I think, oh, what am I doing here? You know, I haven't done this in so many years. And the cast are so great, and they're so kind to me. And everybody in New York City, when I step in an elevator, they say, oh, Betty, we're pulling for you. You know, it's like they know what I've been through, and it's like a love affair. And oh, wow, the responsibility suddenly is tremendous, you know, and I just want everybody to be happy. And so I called Father this morning. I said, Father, I haven't slept all night. I'm so desperately worried that I won't please Marty Charnon, because every syllable he tells me is right, and I'm scared. Can I really deliver? You know, it's a big responsibility. And he said, Betty, you're not putting God first. That's the devil trying to get in there and mess this up. And I thought, and of course it is. You know, the devil would like nothing better than for me to say, oh, I can't do it.
Panic.
Right, panic. Because fear is not God's gift to me. God's gift is no fear, Betty. I'm with you.
Speaking of fear, though, what is your greatest fear? Is it, oh, I won't have the physical stamina?
No.
Or I'll miss a line?
No.
Or is it none of that?
No, that I won't,
won't please.
Yeah.
Well,
it has nothing to do with my personal, me, no. I just want to please everybody, you know.
2.5 years ago when we first met, I went away from that interview and I said to Jack Riley, our producer at the time, she is going to make it, and you watch. Something will happen. I couldn't have imagined this, but I knew something would happen. I knew you would get the girls back, because I said that to you, and the dog. But, and I had no doubts, but 2.5 years ago, did you have any doubts?
Oh, you know, doubts. I said to Father, I will never see my children again. You know I firmly didn't believe I ever would. So when God gave me back my children and my grandchildren, I said, if only I could see them once, you can take me. And I meant it. And now not only that, but this marvelous show kind of scares me, you know. I just want to please my Father first in heaven, and then all these marvelous people who are so gracious to me and so loving that there isn't enough love in my being to give them back. That's all I'm afraid of, that they won't see how much I love them.
I know that you've always...
I'm sorry. I'm just, everybody out there, they've been so wonderful to
Oh,
me.
but you have to hear our phone calls and letters, I can tell you.
Well, you'll get me so emotional because it's your fault that all of this is happening.
I know you've always put God first, and your religion and your beliefs first. But in addition to that, can't you put your own strength first? I mean, Betty Hutton did a lot of this too, didn't she? Really?
Not really.
You don't
No,
think so, Betty?
I don't think you can put one foot in front of the other without it. No. And I went so far wrong that I want to go all the way right. I don't for a moment pretend to myself that I can even walk on that stage without him. No. But I know if I put him first, Marty Charner will be thrilled. The cast will be thrilled. Everybody. I just have to constantly remember first the Lord, then everything follows suit. And I go out there and have fun, and that's what it's all about. But last night, for some reason, you're catching me this morning, this marvelous director, everything he says I hear in my ear. And I got in bed and I said, I'm not saying that like he's saying. I got down to all the fine points, and I got scared to death. But I'm now talking to you. I'll be okay.
No question, because there is that professionalism that you have. And we've talked about that. And one of the first things we talked about when we saw each other years ago was your feelings of what happened to your life when the applause stopped.
That's
when
true.
all of that adulation came to an end.
That's right. But see, that's another thing I haven't heard. I have not heard an audience's reaction to me in years. I don't know what's going to happen when that occurs. I think that will put that wonderful feeling in me that I need. I need to hear that sound from an audience, the laughter, the applause, something. It's been so long,
But you need it.
Oh, do I? That is food to my soul, very definitely.
You have any fear that in loving that again, you might fall into some of the same traps?
No. No way. No, because Father's so close to me. And all the people who love me, that surround me now, they're not show people. The people that surround me now are New Englanders who will be there for me. Even, let's say, that if I failed, they happen to love me. The person has finally emerged. And the human being, me, is accepted, which is solid. It's really a wonderful feeling. So if I can now bring on Betty Hutton, and they will accept her, marvelous. If they don't accept her, well, that's too bad, because people do like me now, and that's important to me. But it would be kind of neat if they'll accept the performer on top of it,
Is this person going on stage in Annie a new Betty Hutton?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'm so full of love for that audience, for the world, for all the peoples out there, all the letters, the millions of letters that have been received by Father, by you, every place I've been. The love is so tremendous. And the hope for a lot of people out there who have been in my kind of trouble and think there's no way out. Believe me, there is a way out, as you know. And those are the people that I want to reach.
You have come so high now. You've come so much on top from the absolute depths of despair.
Right.
If you had to pick one moment, because I was looking at our interviews together, and there were so many low moments, but if you had to pick one low moment from the past that you think of yourself when you think that of the opposite part of your life, what is the lowest, do you think?
Well, there's so many. I mean, they're all very stark. I think the moment when I was so flat broke and I got locked out of my motel in Rhode Island, and Father and I said, Father, from $10 million to being locked out of my room. And I started to cry, and he said, Betty, now do you know who Betty Hutton is? Nobody. The person has to emerge with God. Because there's times I'm Betty Hutton and all this razzmatazz. It doesn't mean anything if God doesn't love me. And I had to really lose everything to get all the way back in that kind of love. So that is a solid person now, where before it wasn't solid. Without applause and without money, I was a wreck. But with it too, I was nothing. So Father showed me, see, without this Betty Hutton to sit on, to hang on, so what? But if you have the love of God, you have it all. the motel rooms get open, in Broadway, everything starts to open. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, you also were relying on this fictional character, Betty Hutton,
Yeah.
the name and lights, that person who exists one minute and doesn't the
And
next.
doesn't the next. That's absolutely right. And since a child, I lived in a fantasy world. As you know, my mother was an alcoholic. From the time I was 3, I was singing the Black Bottom, you know, all that kind of jazz, getting applause. All my life, a fantasy world. I didn't really know what reality was until the past 8 years when I suffered so greatly. So now I live in the real world out there. Suppose it goes wrong. I have a place to go where I am loved, and that's in my church before my Lord.